Welcome back to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. Quite a bit has been happening in sports, but we're going to start here at Aston Villa. Aston Villa avoids a four-game losing streak for the first time in Unai Emery's tenure as the head coach. And it was necessary. This was a get-right game against West Ham. West Ham had no business being in this game. This game had no business being close. And Villa went ahead, and it should have been bigger, but they took a 2-goal win here. It's absolutely necessary if they're going to make it into Champions League this year. And that's because Liverpool took an L. And we needed Liverpool to take an L because right now, the benefit to Villa is everyone that was chasing Villa didn't exactly have the best run while Villa was on one of their worst runs. Maybe not the worst run of the season because we all remember how they started this season. But it was an absolutely necessary win. And West Ham, again, gets one step closer to relegation. And Tottenham also right there. And speaking of that, Villa has a fairly generous schedule to end this year. Now, outside of competing for their cup, they don't have a ton of very difficult games left. So if they can maintain, they can make it. But if for some reason they slip up against a lot of teams that they should beat, they've got a very big game next month, or pardon me, in May against Liverpool. Now, perhaps Ollie Watkins can go on a run here. Like he scored against West Ham. And could that be because he wanted to show the English squad what they left off the roster for this international break? Maybe it is. But also, it could be a way of him getting ready to leave Villa and set himself up for a spot on a really nice squad. I don't want to lose Watkins, but these things happen in the Premier League. You have a great player who's an excellent goal scorer, who's been a part of the English national team for quite some time now, and it's time. Like we got Abraham backing him up, and lots of people want Tammy Abraham in these games, but I'm still a Watkins guy. Like Ollie has gotten us to this point. Ollie has been good to this squad. Ollie has been an amazing goal scorer. Yeah, sure, he makes some silly things happen sometimes, but overall, Ollie Watkins has been great. They've got a good young core, and this is our opportunity to see some amazing things happen. Now, towards the end of the season, like I said, no big, huge matchups outside of that Liverpool game, but Liverpool is still right there, right on Villa's heels for that fourth spot. Villa is also right behind Man United. So if Man United starts to slip up, and now granted, Villa dropped that game against Man United that they had to have during this 3-game losing streak. But if Villa can find a way to maintain, obviously Liverpool cannot catch them. But should they slip up, Liverpool is right there. And like I said earlier, that paints for a really big showdown between Villa and Liverpool in May. We're all looking forward to it. Right now, let's embrace this win. Let's be happy about what happened and understand that Villa just has to hold their flight pattern. That's all they have to do. If they can hold their flight pattern, they can make it into the championship. And we all know what happened last time they made the championship. They made some noise. And we're looking forward to making some noise again should Villa make it into the championship. Let's move over to the World Baseball Classic before we get to our big story, which is, of course, the NCAA March Madness tournament kicking off. The World Baseball Classic. It is crazy to see how some of these countries get so invested into this. And it's been nice to see the big stars like Aaron Judge get invested from the United States. And there was a major gaffe. The United States manager did not understand during the tournament that USA had not made it in or gotten entry into the second round and lost to Italy, almost setting up a disaster. And they had to get bailed out by the Italians to even make it to that next round. And then, of course, as we all know, they continued on to the championship game against Venezuela. But when you're carrying the emotion of a Venezuela and a Venezuelan fan base, like it's so much more exciting because you're carrying that emotion where it looked like the United States was carrying weight and they were not able to get it done. And you see the jubilation that occurs when a Venezuela wins a World Baseball Classic. And you got to say, it just has us so excited for the World Cup and what the World Cup is going to bring when we watch that. And that is on such a smaller scale than the World Cup. We have to be excited about what we're about to see this June as far as the World Cup is concerned, because these countries are going to show up. They're still going to show up, regardless of what you think. They're going to show up, and everybody's going to be there. And the World Cup in the United States of America, Mexico, and Canada is going to be a giant party. So thank you for the preview World Baseball Classic. Congratulations to Venezuela. But I think we're all ready for this June, and we're all ready for the World Cup. We're excited, and we're good to go. It's time. Now, on to the biggest stories from this week. We've got March Madness. Obviously, we were all invested all weekend, and that's why this episode is coming to you Monday. Now, while there weren't a ton of upsets that we were able to watch, there were some fun games. There was one upset, and we're going to get to it here in a minute, but Santa Clara and Kentucky was the game we wanted to see. That's what we want to see. We want to see those buzzer beaters. We want to see the half-court jumper that goes in and sends the game into overtime. We want to see a team like Kentucky struggling, and we got to see that in this tournament already in the first round. We haven't seen it since. It's been largely chalk, and teams like Michigan look very scary moving forward. But we did have one upset, and I said we'd get to it later. I guess I'm going to jump into it right now. We had Iowa take out Florida, and we've got the talk going. Was this Iowa's win, or was this Florida's loss? And I've got to say, it looks like it was Florida's loss, because Florida had a terrible play call, and Iowa just, yes, miraculous play, but Iowa took advantage of Florida's bad play call. When we're discussing this, you got to remember, these are college students. These are not professional athletes yet. Granted, we view this tournament like a professional tournament, but it's not one. These are still college kids that are getting out there and getting after it, and mistakes are going to be made. And then you're also going to see a lot of college shots. And we saw that this tournament. Lots of banks and off the rims. The Miami-Missouri game, the start of that game was like, what is happening here? Can anyone buy a bucket? And nothing was going right for either team. Obviously, Miami was able to pull that game out, but I'm just using that to highlight. We need to acknowledge that these are not professionals here, and we're not going to get a professional product. What we're going to get is a product that is exactly what this game should be. It's amateur, but it's so much fun, and we love it so much. And if your bracket's not busted yet, you love it so much more. Now, we got to see St. John barely come away with a win by the skin of their teeth over Kansas, but we never really believed in this Kansas squad, with their star player literally deciding when he was going to play and when he wasn't going to play. That is one of the craziest things I've ever seen from a student athlete. And I talked about it earlier in the year. It makes me not want to see him get drafted. It really does, because if that's the type of person, that's the type of character that you got coming to your team, you're going to have problems moving forward. You're not going to have a successful run with a player like that, especially if you're banking on that player being your star. If you're banking on someone that is going to decide when and when not to play, then you're not going to be a great team, because that's not somebody that wants it. That's not somebody that's thirsty. That's not a killer. And that's what you need on a team at the NBA level. Now, with that, I'm looking at St. John's and saying St. John's looks scary, especially if you have Duke as your eventual champion. And a lot of people do. Why does St. John's look scary? Because they're an extremely well-coached team. They are extremely scrappy. And they're a team that can upset a bracket because defense can do that. Look at the only Arkansas championship team. They were built on defense. The St. John's team is built on defense. Another team that is extremely well coached that we need to start looking at is UConn. Now, Hurley, before the tournament started, said he doesn't think that this is a championship caliber team. And was he saying that as a motivational tactic? Was he saying that simply because he thinks it'll get his guys going? Or was he saying that because he believes it? Well, so far, we haven't seen a lot of struggle from UConn. They completely dismantled UCLA. And I've been saying this for a long time. Cronin is not the coach for UCLA. You need to get him out of there. He's been absolutely dreadful every single year. And sooner or later, you got to pull the trigger on somebody that just simply can't get it done, like Dunleavy over in Golden State. But we're having a lot of fun watching great coaches win games. And that sets up a match between Hurley and Tom Izzo that we really want to see. Now, is it going to be a great basketball game? I don't think so. I don't think that this game between Michigan State and UConn is going to be an amazing basketball game. But what we will see is an excellent chess match between Hurley and Tom Izzo. I'm excited about it, but this is definitely a bracket buster game because you probably went with either UConn or Michigan State because you believe in these coaches. So you wanted to see this happen. You probably picked to see this happen, and you're going to get your wish. On to that Florida bracket. In this bracket, the South bracket, most people were not picking Florida to come out of it. They were the defending champions, but still not a lot of people had Florida coming out. And it's for some of the things that you saw that cost them the game against the Iowa, against an Iowa 9 seed, against the Iowa 9 seed. And all those things came to fruition. They couldn't make it to the Sweet 16, which leaves us really with, do you believe in Illinois? Do you believe in Houston? Do you believe in Iowa? Probably not. But now they're playing Nebraska. Are we going to get to see Nebraska, who got their first ever March Madness win this tournament? That's right. Their first ever March Madness win was this tournament. Are we going to see Nebraska go from your first ever March Madness win to the Sweet 16? Because that's now becoming a very real possibility for this team. I don't know. I can tell you I have Illinois. I have Illinois winning the South, and I have Illinois in the Final Four. But it's going to be very interesting now. That Florida exit makes things a little bit more fun. Who do you believe in? Who do you believe in? I think I believe in Illinois. I think I'm going to stand by my pick. Arizona has looked unstoppable. It's weird to look at the bracket in the West and say, you know who the Cinderella is? Texas. That's kind of odd to me. I never thought that would be something I would focus up on, is a Texas Cinderella team. But you kind of have to acknowledge it, especially with Purdue getting given a game by Miami. We talked about a little bit about Miami, Missouri, but Miami also gave Purdue a very tough game. And Purdue looks like a team that's, they're could be a victim of an upset. And you look at Texas, and Texas has been steadily trucking through this tournament this year. I don't know if I believe in Purdue, but I know I believe in Arizona. I don't know if I believe in Coach Calipari in Arkansas, but I know I believe in Arizona, as most do. I think this might be the year, for the first time in a long time, the Wildcats continue to show, hey, we're a basketball school, and you want to see why? This is the year you're going to see why. And then finally, our Midwest bracket here. Michigan has been a lock, and Alabama has been the surprise. Alabama's been the surprise because, as you all heard, their second leading scorer was arrested with, I think, 2 pounds of marijuana on him. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't believe in Alabama to start this tournament off. And now they've lost the second best scorer on the team. I for sure don't believe in them. And all they've done is make me wrong. They've absolutely been great. And I should have believed in Rick Barnes down in Tennessee. And for some reason, I was out on Rick Barnes. And he's proved us all wrong with that Tennessee team that has looked fantastic. But you just got to think, Iowa State has looked like a team on a mission. And Iowa State is a team that has always, over the last probably, well, at least in this century, look to be a team that will truck along, and they just haven't gotten over the hump. Arizona hasn't gotten over the hump. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen these teams accomplish big things, but this is their opportunity to do so. I just don't see Michigan being a team that can be beat. What I see is Michigan looking like a squad that's on a mission. They are a squad that looks like they're going to be able to handle the Midwest and make their way. I mean, if they don't make the Final Four, it's crazy because the size, the physicality, the ability of this Michigan team is and has been largely unmatched throughout most of the year. And we're going to start to see the talent show out. And this is that time. The Sweet 16 is that time where it's going to be talent over luck. And we're going to take the talent. All right, as we wind down, it's a short show this week. Not more going on than March Madness. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to conversate about. But we got to see what happens in this year's tournament. We've got to ride this thing out and see where we land. It's exciting. I'm hoping your bracket's not busted. I'm hoping that my brackets aren't busted. They're not yet. What we're hoping for is fun, exciting basketball to go into the Sweet 16 and to carry us through this next weekend. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Sad Fan, and we will see you next time.